All right, here we are on another episode of Salient Points. This one's 126 for October 31st. Spooky edition, Dalan. Spooky edition, all right? By the way, off wax, we kind of like to play basketball and stuff like that, and I was already setting us up. I was like, all right, let's do October 31st tomorrow, and then Dalan was like, it's Halloween tomorrow. I was like, you're right. We can't do it. But the podcast is up, so enjoy the spooky edition. I'm Carlos Macias, the master of what, Dalan?
Master of tribute ball number 8.
Tribute ball number 8. Okay, you're not even gonna tell them about that, or
what, I don't need to. Just know that it's tribute ball number 8.
Yeah, we mark when we go play basketball, we mark the balls, and every ball's a tribute to the original one. So, but the numbers got screwy at some point. I think it was like tribute ball 1, then 2, then 3, and that's up. But what number are we on? Just put whatever number, man. It doesn't matter. So yeah, so we're on tribute ball 6, 7, or something like that now.
I don't know, which is why we just jumped to 8.
They're like, whatever, it's this number. Dalan Kirkman from Up in the Mountains, thank you for joining me, sir.
I am here.
You are present indeed. Luis Mendez on the Wheels of Steel, thank you so much as well, sir.
We made it.
We made it to another part. It's always, are we gonna make it or not? Are we gonna make a podcast this week or not? So, and of course, our man Dale Blas is out there in Japan. He's having a good life out there, man. I think he just posted that he was eating some Wagyu A5 Wagyu. I don't know about meat, man. But Wagyu. I feel like that's a lot, and that's great. And he's living his life. So we'll see him maybe next week. Maybe we get a little recap or something of how it went. But we'll get right into it. The people speak this week. We'll start with the man Jet, your former. Do we dox him? Your former roommate, right? He doesn't live there anymore.
Yeah,
he's around there.
I like how you say he's dox him. He's been doxed every single time he comes up on the show.
Jet, we won't say where you're currently residing, Jet. We'll keep it at that, all right? We'll keep it low.
We'll always stay one address behind.
Yeah, it's always one address behind. We don't know where he is right now. But Jet, except Dalan knows. But don't say anything, Dalan, please. All right, Jet, he did say it's been a little while since we heard about it, so glad to hear from you. Maybe I'm not going to be mean to you this time, Jet. It's been a couple months since I've heard from you. He said, Independence Day was so beyond mid from a story perspective. If Will Smith wasn't in it, nobody would have even cared about it in the first place. That hits my heart, man. I know it's not a great movie. Trust me, I understand 10, 15 years later it's not a great movie, but I played the crap out of that VHS tape, all right? Especially during that time, Vanessa Williams, she has a nice little scene in that movie. It's a nice movie that got replayed a bunch of times, but years later it's not so great, so I agree with you, Jet. But it's still a fun enough movie, and I think had the writer gotten his crap together, because we talked about it last week, maybe we would have seen a nice little Bethesda Star Field game, or Star Opera, or what is it called? Space Opera. I'm sorry, Dalan. Dalan's like, can you help me for a moment, man?
No, you're on your own. You get to dig that hole.
So, Dalan, we'll go with you first, man. What do you think? By the way, say hi to Jet, man. Be nice to him, please. I know you were his landlord at one point, but be nice to him.
Hi, Jet. I'll talk to you when we're playing D&D soon. It's not like I don't talk to this man. Yeah. But as for the statement of Independence Day, what? Are you crazy? Don't get me wrong. Will Smith was definitely a large part of the movie, and he gave the comic relief to the movie outside of Jeff Goldblum and the comedy that he used to produce back at that particular point. But even without Will Smith, we still had all those great lines and great characters that they did have in the movie. The problem was they killed off all the good characters.
I mean, that's what makes it good. You care about them, and then they murder them.
Yeah, and then we got Independence Day 2, and that was way worse. Yeah. That one, I fully agree with Jeremy on if he was actually talking about that.
All right, Luis, what do you make of this?
Hey, was it better than Battle Los Angeles or not?
Battle Los Angeles. Even the name, dude. Even the name of Battle Los Angeles.
B movie. But making this statement. What's my topic?
I had completely forgotten we even talked about this last week. I was even gonna ask like, why is this even? But then you brought up it was the writer like almost made a Bethesda game. But they're like, nah, it's trash. So maybe Jet has a point if they're like, nah, your script is trash.
They looked down and was like, look, this movie, the Independence Day made a lot of money. It's cool. Welcome to Earth. Today is our Independence Day. Has all these nice quotes, but it was trash, bro. But it was trash, so we don't want this in our Bethesda game. I'll say it's one of those nostalgia plays. Look at Dalan's pain. Dalan, we were children, man. We were easily impressed, all right? And it was a big movie at the time. So,
The same thing goes for Indiana Jones and the Ark of the Covenant. That movie would have...
That's actually a good movie, though.
Hold on. If Indiana Jones wasn't there, it would have played out the same way.
I mean,
the Nazis would have got the thing. Would have gotten the staff, and they all would have died anyway.
Oh, if it wasn't for Harrison Ford, I guess is what you're saying.
He just prolonged the inevitable. That's all he did.
All right, Jay, I'm sorry, man. You're wrong. But continue to comment. YouTube, click the bell, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And Jet, nice to hear from you again, sir. And we did get another... this one was more on Twitter. We'll get into I know this is... we've talked about it off wax, and I'm kind of the salesperson. I like sales because it kind of gives people's behavior, right? This is what I'm putting my hard-earned $60, $70 on. But I understand that it's not everyone's cup of tea. So, but I did get into it, not too hard into it, but I did get a response from on Twitter. Lucky13X did say, because we did talk about last week how Spider-Man 2 beat Mario as far as sales that first week out the gate, right? Even anecdotally, when I went to my GameStop, they were like, oh, it blew it out of the water. But Lucky13X did say it likely did not beat Mario Wonder. And Lucky13X, you're right, but I did respond to him, and I did say on the tweet, I said for first week sales in the UK, it did. Spider-Man 2 did beat Wonder, but Wonder is also the fastest selling Mario in Europe. In Japan, selling eight times what Spider-Man 2 sold in Japan. Super Mario Bros. Wonder will win over time as Nintendo games are evergreen and will be full MSRP long after Spider-Man 2 gets discounted. And we did see it this past week that in the UK, Wonder pretty much leapfrogged Spider-Man 2 as far as physical sales is concerned. And it kind of just goes to say, I think we said it on Wax before, but Nintendo games are pretty much evergreen, man. They never get discounted. They're gonna sell forever. It's a very rare instance where you actually can get these games discounted. I know QVC, we've talked about it in one of the chats that me and Lisa are on. They're like, oh, all these games are discounted. Like, no, hold on. QVC is trying to get a lot of new customers, all right? So they're giving like $20 off left and right for new customers, right? But Spider-Man 2 will be in the discount bin, and Mario Wonder will be evergreen for the next 15 years, right? So, so Lucky 13X, thank you for that reply on Twitter. But that's kind of what it was for me. It's like these games are, it's fluid. The situation is fluid. Dalan, did you have any thoughts? I guess I just kind of want to get that out of the way.
I do.
Go ahead.
For well-established IPs like Mario versus Spider-Man or Sonic, the fact is that you're going to have these big old AAA games that are one-player great stories for like a couple of minutes, and you have that specific type of fan base that you have for that. So when these games drop, they're definitely going to have a nice little balloon right when they actually drop, and then it's going to immediately drop off.
Yeah.
Mario, the name, and kids love some Mario. Even adults nowadays. I mean, we got a whole Super Mario World, or at Universal. That's what I mean. The fact is, that game drops. It might start off slow, but everybody's like, at some point, I'm going to get this game. Yeah. And now everybody's getting it. You don't get that for Spider-Man or Sonic. It's everybody who knows about it says, I'm getting this off the bat, and the rest of the people are like, I'm fine. Mario, everybody's like, Dalan, you know what? I'm going to play these other games, but I'm going to eventually get Mario.
Dalan, I want to give you credit, man. You out here just making Salient Points, but I feel like you've been on this podcast enough that I rubbed off on you, man. But you're absolutely right. I think for the most part, games are they're kind of front loaded in the sense you'd call it a bubble or a balloon, which I appreciate. But the sales are usually really front loaded, right? You get a big like influx of where all the big hardcore fans are buying it day one or within the first week or so, maybe first month. And Spider-Man, I think it could have a couple of months of there's that what is it, blast radius of Modern Warfare 3 coming out, right? So I think it's got at least a 3 week, right? Like 2-3 weeks before Modern Warfare drops, where it's huge. But Wonder will it keeps selling. It will keep selling, going into Christmas and everything. So, but yeah.
What do you mean people are still buying Mario Kart 8?
You know what? You did mention very quickly. I know it's not on the rundown. This one's for free. And we're like, off mics, we're like, this is going to be a sub 60-minute episode. So I'll keep it brief. As far as Super Nintendo World, I did go to Universal Horror Nights. Decent experience. Buy the Express Pass. It is stupidly priced. It's like it's double the price of the ticket. So that's just how ridiculous it is. But kind of worth it to go into some debt, to be honest, because I was like, we saw everything. The experience was great. We didn't have to sit at a line, stand in a line for 180 minutes, right? Like that's 3 hours, man. That's about a 3 hour. That's about a 3 hour line if you guys don't want to do the math in your head. Went to the Last of Us experience, the Chucky stuff, all these stuff. We even doubled up. We went to double the rides and was like, okay, we'll just walk through. I did want to mention real quick that Last of Us, not super spooky, but it's very much like an experience. Like it was a great experience to like, this is Ellie. This is, and it's all Last of Us Part 1, right? With Joel and Ellie. And there's a lot of Ellies on that ride or that spooky house, by the way. I was like, how many Ellies do they got?
But honestly, that reminds me of when I went to, Horror Nights. I went to the Nope. They had the Nope thing out.
Oh, that's right. Who told me about it? Who told me about it? Yeah.
Because I got a souvenir for you. I still have it. I found it.
Thank you for that. We went through it, and it was funny because they did like a cross type of situation there where I was like, oh, this is Jupiter's, what is it? Jupiter's Landing? Is that what it's called? Or what is it? From Nope, whatever it's called. I think it's called Jupiter's
Landing. Yeah.
All of a sudden, we forget, Dalan, we're talking about the same thing right now.
Juniper's
Landing. There you go. Which is funny because I was like, oh, someone told me that this was cool. I was like, oh, okay, now I'm remembering that you told me. But they did a little mix-up of like you have with us. I was like, this is strange. I mean, I like walking around it. I see the office where the guy got ripped off, or he sold his horses. Good memory. So it's all crunched down, right? It's all like a crunched down version of Juniper's Landing. But yeah, the us people it was kind of interesting. It was like, okay.
What are they doing here right in the middle of this place?
What are they doing?
They're all just standing there staring at you.
But I think it was I think another thing, I don't know if you had said it off wax, Lise, but I think I'm more convinced that Universal Horror Nights are more an experience versus actually scary. Is that what you? I think you had made that. I don't know if you said it on wax or off wax, but I'm like some of it is scary. That what is it? Exorcist. Ooh, that's a little interesting. That was a little spooky, man. But other than that,
if you want to go for actual scares, go to Not Scary Farm.
I think so. I think so. Especially, you know what it is? I think what it is at Universal is that they're playing with whatever copyright stuff, and I don't know if copyright, but it's like their properties, right? And they're just kind of going through the motions sort of in a way, right? Like we went to Evil Dead Rise, and that one was very much like it would have been scarier had I not seen it, but since I've seen it, I'm like looking at the cool stuff, like, oh, that's the elevator scene. That's when like I even was talking to one of the actors. I shouldn't have done that. I was like, oh, bite the glass. So that's not really scary at that point, right? You're going through an experience. So I feel like it's great, especially like I said, The Last of Us wasn't very spooky, but I was like, this is kind of fucking awesome that you're going through these worlds, right? But if you want spooky, I agree with you, Dalan, like not as scary, but I think it's because they're not playing with a lot of like properties, right? Yeah. Like it's kind of like, we're just gonna scare you. We have
we're just gonna put stuff up. We got this big old mannequin thing in the front and an electric chair. The electric chair that's making a lot of noise. Yeah. All of a sudden, every time.
And there's no rules, right? There's no rules of what the characters can do or not do, right? So it's kind of like even like Chucky.
Yes, there are rules. Do not touch.
No. Come on, Dalan, don't be Dalan, don't be Daft Punk. I don't mean like I mean when they put on the don't be Daft Punk. When they put on the experience, they could do whatever they want. Is what I'm saying. Yes. Whereas it's like, oh, Chucky does this, and Exorcist you do this, and Evil Dead Rise you do that. And the Chucky one was cool, but at some point it was not scary to the point where I was like, all right, Chucky, chill, man. That's like a lot of murder, dude. Like that's a lot of kills. That's a lot. Like by the time, and I mean it is called kill count, I guess they did call it kill count. Like that's 10 kills. Count. That's it, and I'm like, all right, Chucky, chill, man. That's a lot. I know it's not on the rundown, but did you guys do horror this week or the horror mazes or whatever? You did not?
Nope.
Okay, not this year for Dalan. How was Knots, Lise? How did that one go?
That's a long story, man. Way too long for the podcast.
An abridged version, I guess.
I only did 3 mazes. That's the abridged version, but they were cool.
All right. No super pass, I'm guessing, or no express pass, or whatever.
No, we had it.
Okay. All right. Oh, so it's a long story. All right, but anyways, I'm kind of like, what's the highlight, man? And I'm like, it's a long story.
The
I feel
highlight is not the mazes. It's a long story.
All right, got you. Maybe it's for off wax. Maybe it's for off wax. Maybe that's what's happening.
Let me ask you this: was there enough scares at not scaring fun?
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
There you go. And you didn't have to be in mazes to get scared or have fun.
I got scared outside.
That's what I'm talking about. You just don't even Universal Studios. You need to go for the mazes, but you're waiting 3 hours.
Yeah.
No.
I will not go. That's kind of one of the things with the pass deal. It's ridiculously priced. It really is. But I'd rather not go, dude. That's how bad the lines are. I will just not go. I will just not go to this experiences, right? So,
all right.
But anyways,
what we got next up?
Yeah, I was like, well, it is Halloween. It is the spooky episode. I should have thought it out better. Sometimes these rundowns kind of come through, how they will. So real quick on the Spider-Man tip, Brian Intihard, the director who used to be at EGM. These guys, like, it's kind of awesome to see that they're now directors of a video game working in magazines 20 years ago. But anyways, he says that the Spider-Man 2 universe, it's in the same universe as the Wolverine game that they're also working on, that Insomniac is working on. He said they're all 1048, whatever that means, but I do have a quote here that says, when host Greg Miller asked if it had been previously confirmed or denied whether or not their spin on Wolverine shared the same Earth as its Spider-Man, Intihar replied by saying they're all 1048. I think I got that right, but yeah, Intihar is referring to Earth 1048, which is a designation for the Marvel Universe Insomniac super hero games occupy. Dalan, as you psychoanalyze me off the podcast, I'm a critical path man. Do not give a fuck about the lore. So why does this matter, Dalan? Does this matter? Like that he's confirming Wolverine and Spider-Man 2 are in the same
that means that it's very expansive in the things that they could do. I mean, even if you just look at the films, we have the entire cinematic universe of Marvel, but you don't see X-Men hanging out with Spider-Man in those movies because of that separation.
True. Okay.
They have them on different Earths in those cases. Okay. And this is one where they could actually build upon that story. I think there was a video game that came out a while back called The Imperfects or something like that. It was like Marvel's The Imperfects. It was a
Immortals. Immortals?
No? It wasn't Immortals. I can't. No. I know it had I to start with it. I'm pretty sure it was Imperfects. Okay. But the fact is that you can now create these other stories that you previously could not in the films, and it's one of those things you'd love to see how they roll out, and you'd love to see Wolverine show up in the Spider-Man game, or vice versa, or being able to play with both of them, or come up with what was the name of that? It was a really famous X-Men game that had come out that everybody was playing. It was like top down. You could play 4 players or something like that. They had like 2 or 3 of those games. It came out on PS2. I'm sure you played it, Carlos, but I cannot remember the name of that X-Men game. And
I'm gonna let you flail out there, Dalan. But let's focus on this one here. So what gives you the? Well, you look it up when Lisa gives us point on this. But so that's exciting. I'm assuming we'll see. I'm sure when the Wolverine game comes out, whenever it does, we'll get some hype for that. Spider-Man might cross over. Go ahead, Dalan.
X-Men Legends and X-Men Ultimate Alliance. Ultimate Alliance was the one that was really good.
Those are pretty decent games, actually. Co-op games. They were decent games.
Yes.
Luis,
and when you could have that many people in one universe, it's a beautiful thing.
Luis, what do you make of this, man? Is this a big deal?
I mean, maybe potentially. I mean, this would be the first time, I think, aside from like the comics, or I think they might have still done it in the cartoons, right? Crossover between these. Yeah, they have.
Yeah.
Since the Marvel and Sony whole situation happened, that's why they've like split up Deadpool and X-Men and all the other Marvel characters because of licensing reasons, I guess. So this would be the first time that we could actually see them in a while do something together, which could be interesting, especially if it's from the same studio developing these games.
Insomniac, they's guys they're great, man. They're great. I there's Naughty Dog, there's Insomniac, there's few developers that is kind of like, these are at the top of their game, right? Mm-hmm. The next thing, of course, is that we do have a Nintendo filing. They put in a filing for a design for a dual screen gaming device that can be split in two. This is according to the Eurogamer. This filing was made in November of last year, but was made public earlier this month, as shared on World Intellectual Property Organization via Reset Era. Images of this device show a handheld apparatus not too dissimilar to that of a Nintendo 3DS. Unlike the 3DS, however, this device can be split in half to allow for wireless gaming between two players. It appears to be a handheld machine only with no hybrid capabilities. Additionally, the top screen can face out. This is even when the device is closed. I can only assume if this product was to ever be realized, Nintendo would advise we all get some kind of case to go with it to protect the screens. And of course, filings are kind of like, they filed for any and all things, right? In these video games. Like, we saw what, in the last couple years, I know even like gameplay mechanics, like if you guys played the what was the video, the Mordor games, where it had the Nemesis system or whatever, they followed
Shadows of Mordor.
Yeah, Shadows of Mordor. They kind of fell pants for that. So, but this is interesting, and if it's not a hybrid thing, I think going forward, Nintendo's thing, it's a hybrid, dude. Like, this shit blew up based on it being a hybrid, but it's kind of interesting. We'll go with you, Dalan. What do you make of this, sir?
Screen protectors is one thing, but if you have the ability to just split it and hand it to your friend, my concern is, what is to stop somebody from splitting it, putting it down, and losing one half of that thing?
It's very
what are you gonna do then?
Well, you're SOL, man. You're SOL.
They're gonna sell half a screen for almost the same price minus $10.
Yeah. I feel like this is unlikely, man. But it's interesting, right? Where their heads at, I suppose, right? They're like, this could potentially be a thing. Luis, what do you make of this, sir?
Well, yeah, on your topic of they file anything and everything, they filed, people found out about the Labo like way before it was actually announced, right, with the whole cardboard situation that really took off. But
wait, what? Are you talking about the Labo took off?
Yeah, it was super popular.
I think it was at the time. At the time, it was. It definitely is in the trash somewhere for me. Yeah. But at the time, at the time,
that wasn't your worst, Dalan. It was a nice little tiny balloon that popped and then just never got inflated ever again.
That's true.
But
that's true.
I just hope they learned their lessons from the Wii U, because this was. I mean, okay, so we see it happen from the Wii U to the Switch,
on your face. You're like, not sure how to really say this.
We saw what happened from the Wii U to the Switch. They definitely learned some lessons there, right? And they made the Switch, but now they're completely going into some, well, it's not going to be hybrid, it's just going to be two screens. It could be a big flop again, so I don't know. We will see. Maybe they're going straight up full portable on this, like the 3DS Resurrected or something. Who knows?
It could be interesting, and like, they follow anything and everything, kind of what you were saying, right? So it's kind of like one of those things. I don't know. I think they're gonna hedge their bets, and like Switch 2.0 looks very like the last Switch, right? Just more powerful. And look, I'm there day one. I'm there day one, because this stinky Switch, man, it's seen better days, man. It's seen better days. So we'll see. We'll see when it comes out. We'll see if that's what they work on. On a kind of a sad note, I guess a frustrating note. I don't know how you guys want to see it, but there's the brutal industry holiday layoffs continue, right? Bungie is the latest example. They have laid off an quote, undisclosed number of staff, end quote. That's by our favorite journalist, Jason Schreier. And they also mentioned that they're delaying the Final Shape, which is the next expansion of June 2024, new marathon game that they're working on, to 2025. The CEO, Parsons, he said, today is a sad day. Well, of course, sir, but you kind of did lay them off. But there's quite a bit of notable layoffs going around. I do have two quotes. This is kind of coming off of what Jeff Keighley said. He threw out a tweet, or a zeet, or whatever you want to call it. He said, the sheer quality and scale of games this year has really been unprecedented. Can you think of another year with so many incredible releases? Which Dimitri, who is a senior performance specialist at Digital Extremes, they work on the Warframe game, he said, we're really about to spend the next 3 months talking about how great this year has been for games. Well, I can't go a single week without finding out a game company has either shut down or laid off a bunch of employees. We also have another developer. I'm not sure what this person does. Please, maybe you can help. It says ADV, EMV, and artist, advanced environmental artist. I don't know. He works at ArenaNet, works on the Guild Wars games. He said, regarding game industry layoffs, especially Bungie, any layoffs that happen from now until the end of the year are especially cruel. End of the year near the holidays are the worst time to find a new job. Everyone takes time off, so interview process slows down to a crawl. It's maddening. That's Alpaca Ash. And of course, Legacy Killer HD. He did mention some of the big companies this year that has laid people off. Epic Games, CD Projekt Red, Creative Assembly, Bungie, Telltale, Volition, Take-Two, Unity, Ubisoft, Ascendant Studios, BioWare, 343 Industries, Bethesda, Striking Distance Studios, Relic Entertainment, Deviation Games, and Riot Games. So it's pretty rough, man. It's pretty rough, but it's interesting to see like that contrast from like Jeff Keighley, like it's lit out here, and look on this podcast, it is pretty lit out here, right? There's a lot of nice games out there, and still to come, right? But on the other side, like the other side of the coin, is kind of like, damn, what people are like getting laid off a lot. You know, it's an unfortunate thing. Luis, you kind of you work in the industry, right? You're a resident developer, software engineer. What do you make of this, man? What do you think? Is like these amazing games are coming out, yet all these people are just kind of without a job suddenly.
Yeah, there's a few of those that honestly, most of those on that list that I had forgotten even had layoffs this past year. It's been a hell of a run for sure. And some people, like, I know that have been laid off from these studios actually, but yeah, it's kind of weird, right? It's an interesting sort of topic to bring up, that like it's this year where everyone's like, there's too many games, like fuck, I don't have enough time to do all this right now. And then on the other hand, it's all the studios are kind of like, well, thanks for helping us out, but see you later.
Shoo, please.
So,
yeah.
So yeah, it's very, very strange. My only guess is that like I think I kind of say every single time, is that studios are finally starting to settle into whether they're remote, whether they're working in office, and they're kind of starting to figure out, because everyone went on this like sort of hiring spree, even though it was kind of hard to find work at these studios. It was very competitive, but everyone hired a lot because they're like, well, we don't have the overhead of an office or something.
Okay, that's
so
interesting.
Maybe now they're finally starting to figure out like what their actual budget should be. They're trying to min-max their profits, I guess, now. So it could just be that. I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, I think part of it is also like kind of the industry is like you're building a product, you're building a game, right? And Apple's like, well, we don't need all these people. I'm sure there's gonna be like hiring spree next time they ramp up, or the game's about to come out, or finally be able to be done. Right, but it's really weird because these you would think they would want all these people to hang around, or as many as they could, right? Whereas like these games, Bethesda had the biggest Game Pass game. They even sold actual physical copies to make it the biggest selling game in September. And some of these are like Ascendant Studios, which they worked on Immortals. That was kind of a flop, right? You kind of understand that, but some of these other ones, like, dude, you guys had big games. But I think it's exactly what you're saying. I think, right? It's trying to find the balance. Like, we didn't need that many people, and I know the other thing is that they found out. I didn't have the quote, but I saw it online. I think it might have been Axios, but that they're figuring out that it's like, wait, these big games were made from people that were at home working on these games. Like these amazing games that are coming out finally this year are from like COVID era, and they were like, they made them at home, or for a big part of that. Dalan, what do you make of this, sir?
Well, thanks to Luis, I already knew that even before COVID-19, it was kind of a volatile thing to try and be a part of the gaming industry just by itself. I mean, there were times where Luis would inform us. Yes,
whoa, Dalan, whoa, don't be doxing them or anything.
No, I'm not going to dox him, but I still remember one quote.
And not that he tells us anything, by the way. Let's just put that on record.
All right. To put it on wax, he doesn't say anything about any specific companies. He's just talking about the industry itself. But there was a point. There are points where he's at a job and he's like, I can see the writing on the walls. I'm going to have to find myself a new job. So he had to leave a couple of times because he knew it wasn't going the greatest. When you just sit there and you don't actually have work for like 2 months, but you're still getting paid. Yeah, they're going to start laying people off. But after COVID-19, the entire landscape of that market just totally changed, especially with all the massive hires that actually happened. And now with us waiting away from COVID-19, they're starting, like Luis said, they're starting to actually have that realization, like, yeah, we inflated the number of people we needed because we could not work properly, but now that we could start to work properly again and we're starting to figure it out, we realize we don't need 6,000 out of the 4,000 out of these 6,000 people, and they're going to just start cutting back. So I'm pretty sure that over the next year or two, we're gonna see way more cuts than this.
Yeah, and we've seen the things kind of leak out, right? We've seen little leaks of like, especially the biggest one I think was it Tim Sweeney from Epic Games? He was like, we've been spending a lot than we've been making, so it's kind of like one of those things like, okay, it's rough. You would think you'd have better accountants over there or something, but I understand it's a big thing, and also you take bets, right? You're like, we're gonna invest this much, and it didn't pan out for whatever reason, right? It didn't make as much. Any corrections on what Dalan said or anything like that, at least before we leave it on wax like that, I guess.
No, I actually wasn't interrupting him because I knew he was gonna say that. I didn't think he was gonna say because I don't I leak anything. I'm like, oh yeah, I've mentioned multiple times like, I feel like I'm gonna get laid off, or I just ride the ship down. I'm like, all right, let's see where this goes.
Yeah, because we're not trying to get this man in trouble. Remember, I don't edit shit. By the way, I guess that's a good thing for the public to know. I don't edit shit, so it's really like, we don't edit anything.
This at least once per episode.
We'll go on to the next thing, but yeah, look, it's an unfortunate thing, and I think you might be right, Dalan. And you know what? This has been a huge year, and I think it's a huge year because all the delays. Some of these games were supposed to come out like last year, man. So it's kind of like things have been pushed around. So I kind of think maybe like 25 might be the next, like, it's a huge game, because I'm already seeing things are getting pushed around, like even this Destiny thing. So I think 25 is going to be a year where it's like, this is a effing incredible year again. But we'll see. Hey, what's up, Dan?
I will say this because you mentioned it. Even though there are many times where we have said, if your game needs more time, give it more time. I don't care if it's delayed. The fact is if they delay it, it's definitely going to inflate the company's budget hard. Yeah, so on one hand, I'm like, yes, give it more time, put more work into it. On the other hand, I'm like, oh no, they're taking money away from the workers, and now they might not have the budget to finish the game. There's
we did talk about it. I think it was last week's podcast, right? The King Kong thing. They told these mans, you have 1 year. That's it, man. That's it. And you see what happens. Right? So it's kind of like wild that you have 1 year. So it's kind of, you can understand maybe sometimes the companies like spend a little too much, but the quality of the game is going to be excellent. Hopefully they recoup those costs. But on the King Kong thing, go ahead, Dalan.
I know I'm going to get called out on this, so I want to correct my white boy phrase that I made a moment ago. So 6 to 1, half a dozen to the other.
I didn't even hear that, but I didn't even hear that.
I know.
But
I was saying I just wanted to make sure that people understood what I said.
Thank you. Okay. On the next thing, I don't know if you guys got a chance to, but we did kind of tease it last week that Microsoft was going to have a partner showcase. They said, no BS, no talking heads, just trailers. I don't know if you guys got a chance to kind of look at it. Some of the games that they announced, or kind of we got a little more looks into it, was like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, Ikaru Will Not Die, Still Wakes the Deep, RoboCop Rogue City, which that's game flyable, man. It's coming out in the next week or so. Hopefully that's not another King Kong situation. Dungeons of Hinterberg, Spirit of the North 2, Metal Gear Solid, Delta Snake Eater, which is kind of the biggest one, I think, kind of the reveal there. The Finals, Manor Lords, Ark Survival Ascended, and Alan Wake 2, which I'm kind of hyped. It's download only, so we'll see when I get around to it, but I still want to mess with it. What was big for you guys? Was it Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, or anything else from the showcase, Dalan, or was it MGS Snake Eater?
I'm just an MGS fan, so anytime MGS shows up, I'm like, please do it justice, and please do not take Hideo Kojima's name away from this.
Don't take his name in vain. Is that what you mean?
Do not take his name in vain. Please don't. But out of these, I'm always interested in Like a Dragon and like just the Yakuza type games just all together.
They're just long, and it's a lot of them.
That's the problem, is that there's long and there are a lot of them. So I'm like, this looks great, but I'm not gonna play it because it's gonna take my life away. Same thing goes for Ark. I've actually had a couple people come to me because they know I'm a gamer, and the first question they ask me is like, do you play Ark? Do you like Ark? There's gonna be a new Ark. I'm like, that's great, but I'm not an Ark person. I don't play Ark. I don't play Conan. I don't do those.
So Metal Gear Solid, what do you think, Dalan? That's the big one, right? Is that the big one? What do you think of what you saw?
From what I did see, Dungeons of Hinterberg still looks like a nice little action adventure.
Dalan was like, "You will not redirect me. I will go down this list of games." Okay, Dalan, go.
No, it's just really, it's just the two. It's just Dungeons of Hinterberg. It still looks good. I looked at a brief trailer before they actually showed the partner preview, and I'm still like, all right, I'm interested in playing that game. And I already beat Metal Gear Solid 3, so it's just one of those. If they can't keep the quality that was Metal Gear Solid 3, then why are they even remaking?
Well, and it looks nice and everything, but I kind of like I played it. It's kind of like with the Volume 1 collection that just came out a week or so ago. I was like, I played 1, I played 2. I already played these games, but I didn't play I didn't know that the original like NES ones are in it. I think you guys might have said it, and I was like, I don't know what you guys are talking about or something, right? But I didn't know the original ones were on there, so I might GameFly that just for the original NES ones, because Metal Gear Solid 1, it's fine, it's a great game, one of the best games ever, but I played it, and 2 I played already.
Oh, you didn't play the Metal Gear Solid collection that came out on PS3, did you?
Okay, so it had those also, the
yes,
okay.
On those it had like it came out on PS2, man.
Yeah,
Metal Gear, you got me on Metal Gear. Metal Gear Solid had 2 versions of Metal Gear Solid. I think it was Twin Stick. No, it was Metal Gear Solid 2 and Metal Gear Solid 3. I can't remember the exact name that they used for it because for whatever reason Metal Gear comes up with wacky names. Yeah. But Metal Gear Solid 2 had a special edition that came out with a whole bunch of other games that came on it, and one of them was the original.
Yeah, but it wasn't
the same thing with Part 3.
But it wasn't a standard collection.
There was a skateboarding simulator in Metal Gear Solid 2. Okay?
There was.
You were playing Tony Hawk in Metal Gear
there was.
Solid 2.
I do remember that. Luis, what do you think either of the partner preview or specifically Snake Eater? What do you think, man?
Damn, rip in peace Sub 60, dude. But
like a dragon... we'll get there. I think we have a chance. I still think we have a chance.
Like a Dragon, this one, I think I didn't see the showcase, but I did see like videos and stuff on Zeter. This one's like the Animal Crossing like Yakuza thing, right?
Yeah.
That looks interesting, dude. Yeah. But honestly, I think I'm gonna get to those games when I'm like old and retired. They're just gonna take up too much time,
dude. My
we'll see.
You know, my wife said the same thing. Because I have games literally in plastic, dude. Like I for years, and she's like, when are you like? Is that why you're trying to retire early? Because you can play these games. Like, look, I gotta be honest with you. Even if I retire early, I'm probably not even gonna get through all these games. It's a lot. It's a lot. The only thing that I think about, and yes, Sub 60, we're shooting for it still, Lise. But real quick, that's one of those things that I think since the development cycles are so big and they like to tease stuff early all the time, I think I'm gonna like get off the internet, dude. Once I'm like, look, my time, I'm gonna have a very time. I'm having a timely demise. I only need to know what's out in the next month or whatever. I don't need to know. Fucking still waiting on Metroid Prime 4 when I'm 75. I just can't do it. My heart will not be able to take it. You know what I'm saying? Luis, sorry, my bad, man. I don't know if I stepped on your light. Anything?
Yeah, no. So, and then I saw some people kind of getting mad about the Delta, the Snake Eater remake, about that they're reusing assets and animations from MGS 5. Phantom Pain.
And it's like, the whole God of War
thing again.
Pretty much. Yeah. But it's like I guess some people still don't. When they see something that's new, they want it all to be new, right? And I guess that's understandable from a sense. But they don't understand that this frees them up to work on other things and polish other things. Like, why make a new walk animation or a new character rig or a new box that goes in the corner if it's going to allow you to like work on the environments, the lighting, the programming, the Q&A, like all that stuff, the music, the sound.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a stupid thing to kind of get mad about. Especially, it's like if that's gonna stop you from buying this game, then that's fine.
Just don't. It's like
if you're gonna hate on it that much, go play the original. Shut up.
Yeah. But it's still I do like that Tina Amini is kind of the one that's in charge of the show. So I think that's pretty great, man. Just give us trailers. I understand. I don't mind seeing the talking heads and the guys that work at the company, but I just give us some trailers. All right, we're gonna move into quick. Okay, Dalan. Here we go. Sneaking. Here we go. No Sub 60. Here we go. Go ahead, Dalan.
I'm just gonna say Metal Gear Solid 2 Substance, which is a word. Metal Gear Solid 3 Subsistence, which is not a word.
No.
Right,
my favorite is Metal Gear Solid Revengeance. That's my favorite one, Revengeance. All right. Also, Kingdom Hearts. I don't know the exact number, 352/2. Also, Nier Automata, 1.3456789106, whatever the number is. All right. So these guys are out of control.
On ... by the way. ... That's the official name of the game.
These guys are out of control, man. All right, we're going to move into quick takes. What's out of control is Five Nights at Freddy came out this past weekend. The reviews are in. I don't think you guys take too much stock in the Rotten Tomatoes rating, which I think is great. Your brain is much more mature than I am, but I look at the Rotten Tomato critic score, 29%, but despite that nasty rating, $130 million global box office. We were at Universal Studios, and all you see is Five Nights at Freddy stuff. I didn't realize it was a Universal Universal property, but it's kind of NBC, right? NBC, Peacock, and all that stuff. I broke down enough that I've decided that I'm going to watch it with my child sometime this week, but I will be imbibed. I will have drank a couple Trulies and let's watch this thing on TV now. I will not pay movie theater prices, but I'll click it on Peacock and we'll watch it. Luis, you got any thoughts on this, man? That this thing's kind of
I don't. I know you love the numbers and the scores and that goes through the chat all the time, but I honestly never look at them. I don't care. I just look at what the movie is, who's in it, who's directed, written it, and then maybe who wrote the score. This is something I was planning on watching anyway, and then I got an email from Peacock in theaters now, and you could watch it today on Peacock. I was like, oh, okay, so I don't need to go to theaters.
Yeah, I was about to tell you it's streamable, Carlos. You can watch it.
I just said it. I said, come on,
Dylan. You said TV.
I said I was about to tell you, but you said
it. Come on. Have you watched it yet, Luis? Or you still kind of got it queued up?
No, I'll get to it within the next week or so.
Okay, all right. Whatever, man. I'll watch it. But you guys have say Luis at least. You too a little bit, Dalan, maybe. I don't know your life, but Luis, that's a very mature way to look at it, man. Don't worry about the ratings, but that's just me. I'm just weird that way. The next thing we have on here is Dead Space 3 writer Chuck Beaver would redo the game story almost completely. He said this is VGC Video Games Chronicle via IGN. It said Dead Space 3 writer Chuck Beaver would redo the game story, quote, almost completely, end quote, by focusing on a mentally broken Isaac Clarke if he was ever approached about a potential remake. And I will say this, Dalan, we are 100% vindicated, sir, because we've been saying Dead Space 3 is trash since the beginning of the podcast, all right? So the beginning of this franchise, the Salient Points franchise, if you will. But I kind of like that. I got bring this man back, all right? If he's gonna rewrite bring this back, yeah.
He knew. I mean, with all that, the developer obviously, Visceral, who is now gone, which sucks. Whoever Visceral tried to publish under. They really screwed up their game. They said, let's put little microtransactions in this game, and everybody was like, why are we doing this? We need money. I mean, I guess can we just not put microtransactions? No, we're putting microtransactions. All right, I guess our game is lost. I give up.
Or just ship it, man. Click. Make it gold, ship it. That's how development works, right, Luis? Click
right
gold.
Right in the middle of it. No. Don't forget, right in the middle of it. Hey, let's also make it multiplayer.
Which could have been cool, maybe. But bring this man back. Bring this man back, and because I hope they're gonna go, Dead Space 1 and then 2, which was my favorite. I think that was the best one. Dead Space 2, and then let's do 3. Bring this man back and let's reconfigure it, please.
After the remake, I'm very much down for Dead Space 3, where they do not put multiplayer. They just focus on the game itself.
Yeah, maybe. Luis?
Take out those microtransactions.
Luis, what do you think, sir?
Yeah, I mean, this was around the time where I think plenty of games and devs fell under this sort of trap, right? Of people were still trying to figure out what you could essentially get away with microtransactions. And maybe they didn't realize how much it would affect game design and story by putting those things in there, because it obviously limits you in some way of well, what if no one ever buys them? What happens?
No, it was worse than that. You picked up a weapon and it said you cannot use this, take this to the bench. You took it to the bench, and in order to use it, you had to pay real cash money.
Yeah,
was that?
I'm still.
Come on, stop stepping on his lines, Dalan. That's what he was saying, man. I will say this. This was around the time, because this was an EA game, right? So EA, remember they were doing the $10 to play online, like pay $10 because I think they were trying to do away with like rental sales and all this GameFly and stuff. So it was like, if you buy a used, you don't have this code because you don't have the box, and it's like they quickly did away with that situation. They're like, just get online, man, because they eventually realized it's like really the value is the community. It's not that each person pays you $10. It's that there's a lot of people playing this game. I can search for a game, and there's a lot of people, right? It's the motto of the free to play, right? That it's like the community are bringing you the value, and then you catch a couple whales. Every so often. So that's kind of that. We stepped all over your lines, Lise. I'll include myself. More Dalan. I will say 80%. 80% Dalan stepped on your line. I only did 20%. Anything you want to, anything else, Lise?
Well, what I was going to say is that I guess it got lost because it got Dalan so riled up about what I was saying. Really that it limits you as a developer when you're designing a game or writing a story. You have to consider cases where someone may not, buy some of your microtransactions. So I'm sure it had some sort of effect on what he could write or what they could do with the game.
Yeah.
But it was enough for me to never have played it because I heard such terrible things about it. So if they remake it, if he's putting out the signal out there for someone to
he's like,
please.
He's like, I'll put out the bad signal. Pick me up, coach.
Then I'll get around to it.
That's how you know Dan doesn't watch sports, because he said, "Pick me up, coach."
I meant to.
What did you mean to say, Dan? I'll give you a second chance.
Put me in, coach.
Okay, got you. All right, you do watch sports, sir. The next thing on here is why is Alan Wake 2 not on Steam? Which is by that was just a headline of GameSpot, which is fun. So Save a Click, thank you, Save a Click. So I didn't have to click through on that. They said why Alan Wake 2 is not on Steam. Save a Click said Epic funded and published the game. Part of the deal was probably to make the game exclusive on Epic Games Store. Epic Games Store GM Steve Allison said that Alan Wake 2 will be exclusive for a long time, and I don't blame him. They've been doing. We talked about Epic Games recently, right? I think was it last week or 2 episodes ago, where they're like, we're trying to give you all your money, developers. So they're definitely working on ways to kind of like get some infusion of games or whatever it is. And the fact that they published Alan Wake 2 gives them the right. So it's not going to be on Steam. It's on this thing. But Luis, I hope I didn't kind of steal your point there, but what do you think of this, Luis?
That's only a win for Remedy developed this, or
Remedy. Yeah, Remedy.
Okay. Yeah, because like we were talking about last week, Epic has said that the first mil that you make off of the game is yours. Like you don't pay Epic anything.
Gotcha.
And obviously paying for exclusivity, so it's just a win-win for them. Like why wouldn't you do it from a business standpoint?
Yeah.
But Epic has been trying to, and I even tried for a bit like using Epic Games instead of Steam for a while, but the launcher is just so bad, man. Like it just the fact that it takes just opening it up, like I have to think like how badly do I want to play Rocket League, and like I look for Epic Games launcher, and it takes a while to like actually open, whereas Steam like immediately. Yeah. So they got to work on that, but I mean otherwise it's a decent enough experience or whatever.
Yeah. So and some of these games will force you, right? Like even I as an example, I use a podcast app called Overcast, but I know you and other people in the chat are like, why, man? Just go to is it Spotify? Just go to Spotify. Just do this, or was it Spotify? I think, or yeah. Right?
There's options.
There's options, but I'm kind of like I don't want to. But the content forces you, right? Like I mean, even going back to Steam, I know Steam is like ubiquitous now, but Steam didn't always exist, right? Half-Life 2 came out. And it's like, you want to play this? You got to download the launcher. And guess what? Years later, where everyone's on Steam after they forced you to get it for Half-Life 2, right? So it's one of those things that Epic Games, they funded the game, or part of the deal that they funded and published the game. So this game doesn't exist if Epic Games doesn't kind of put up the money for it. So I'm happy for them, and it's an exclusive. You're forced to use their launcher, just like how Showtime and like Paramount. I've told you guys before, Paramount, that app is trash. Showtime is forcing you to use the Paramount app now, and it's a little bit better, but it's still not great. It's still not great. But I want to see the circus I have to go to Paramount Plus. All right, that's what I want to. That's what I need to do. The next thing on here is Microsoft will not allow unauthorized third-party accessories be used with Xbox Series X and S starting November 12th. I didn't put down the different kind of third-party stuff then, but is there anything in specifically that to you is like, oh, I can't use this now if that's what they did?
I think they're actually talking about things that are like Bluetooth functional and things like that. Because how are you really going to stop people from actually using hardware on your system when you already have the USB port? It's just an electrical input-output. You cannot stop me from using my headphones in this controller. You cannot stop me from using my little.
That is a very defiant stance against the man, but I like it. I like it.
You cannot stop me.
Now,
I will still use my third-party stuff.
I will say, as a resident developer on this podcast, please, can you stop someone that when they plug in a USB, can you tell them, not acceptable, even hardwired USB like Dalan is mentioning?
They're doing it on Call of Duty. Modern Warfare. When people plug in a Cronus controller, they don't stop them from playing. I think they can, but yeah, we talked about it with their basically like ricochet anti-cheat sort of situation. They'll fuck with the controls where like they'll invert the controls if they detect they're cheating. They'll they give them a message that, hey, we detected you're cheating. This is your only warning. If you plug it in again, you're banned. So they can do stuff like that, yeah, for sure. There you go.
Okay, Dalan, so you're just screwed, man. I'm sorry,
but what they do about the controller that's for cheating. Yeah, I remember those.
No, but you're saying that they can't do it. But you're saying they can't do it if you are literally plugging it in. And what I'm asking Luis is that they can mess with you even if you plug it in directly.
Yeah, I guess it depends on the function of the accessory that you are using.
Well,
because if I plug in my fan will run.
Okay, sure, your fan will run.
I don't think anyone's trying to stop your fan.
I don't know
exactly.
Nobody's trying to stop your fan. All right, Dalan. But you know they did say that Microsoft is like trying to kind of open up more and authorize more third parties. So I don't think it's like an outright ban. I think they're just like a little bit more limited, but they are looking into like authorizing more things. The other thing on here is that Smash Brothers director Masahiro Sakurai, he was talking about as far as another entry. He's doing YouTube now, so he hasn't been working on the games, right? But he's doing YouTube now, and this is according to VGC. He said, quote, "As for what comes next for the Smash Brothers series, even I'm not sure," he said via Nintendo Life. Quote, "I feel we truly succeeded in making people happy with this game, but now that Smash Brothers has grown to be monstrous in size, I'd say it's difficult to imagine an increase of this magnitude happening again. Every time we managed to make a game that I had previously thought impossible, so I can't say for certain there won't be another, but I do think it would be difficult to push it any further than we have," end quote. What do you make of this, Dalan? What are your thoughts on this?
Man, when we get our next Nintendo system, they're just gonna do it again. Every time we get a system now, we're just gonna get a new Smash Brothers, and they're gonna figure out some new mechanic that they're gonna put in it, and it's gonna be excellent. Everybody's going to be waiting for the next. We're already waiting for the next one, but as of right now, since Nintendo has decided that we are not moving on from the Switch for quite some time, we're just going to be stuck with the Smash Brothers. And because now we have the ability to just add DLC, unlike the GameCube and stuff like that, we can just add DLC. They're just going to keep putting more characters into it until we get the next one.
Well, and they've done it with this one, right? This is the ultimate one. They've added DLC throughout it. I'll speculate, Dalan. I know this is breaking news, right? But the next one is going to be called Super Smash Brothers Ultimate 2. They're just gonna do it. They're just gonna add a 2 to it, man. But
it's gonna be something like Super Smash Brothers Omega or something.
Omega. Let's just keep it wacky. But yes, of course, never doubt Nintendo reselling you the same game for the 5th time. So that's it on that one.
Mario Party, what number are we on?
Dude, our $50 account is up to Mario Party 3, Dale. So we got 1, 2, and 3 of these games that people have a lot of nostalgia for. I have nostalgia for it in a sense. Just the inside of my palm, like turning red and very painful. Those are the only memories, but those games were not super great, man. Look, I'll say a couple more things I just wanted to mention is that the community is kind of up in roar about the Halloween Mortal Kombat 1 fatality. It costs about $10, but it kind of what Luis said earlier, just don't buy it, man. It looks like not a great fatality. It's literally this man is like putting a pumpkin head over the other, man. That's the fatality for about $10, which I saw online about $10. That means there's got to be some wacky microtransaction nonsense going on from the very beginning. The other thing is, of course, that a Modern Warfare 3 PlayStation 5 Slim bundle, it has been spotted in the wild. So if you guys are still waiting on kind of like, oh, do I get the Slim one? I want the older one. There's a Slim one coming out with Modern Warfare 3, the blast radius. That is that game. We'll move into what you've been playing. Luis, I hear you've been playing a little Spider-Man, man. That's what I'm kind of hearing here.
Yeah.
How do I respond to that?
I don't know if I ever told you anything, so you didn't hear anything. If we want to get, into semantics, but yeah, I started it. I don't know why I still pre-order games from Target, man. They get there a week later, but honestly, at this point, I was like, I'm fine with it. I'm not even gonna play it day one anyway, like whatever. But yeah, it got as soon as I got it, I basically while I was working, I'm like, I'm installing this shit right now.
I'm gonna make sure
I'm gonna be ready to go when I'm out of work.
Yeah.
So I know you wanted to get into it last week, that intro sequence or whatever, but that was pretty nice, dude. That was a nice little sort of intro, and I don't know what was wrong with it or whatever when they said, please download the update, it will make it better. Yeah. So, but yeah, that was pretty sick. So, but I'm playing it. I don't know. I'm not fully critical pathing, but I am basically every time it switches characters for you, I'm like, all right, let me just be Miles for a minute. Let me just be Pete for a minute. So, but yeah, all the side stuff. I'm honestly surprised at how many different city activities there are in the game. I don't even think I think I might have just barely gotten to the point where I unlocked all of them, but there's still question marks everywhere. I don't know what everything is. But,
and you haven't dipped too much into, because that's kind of one of the things that I try to media blackout as much as it is, as much as I can to not get spoilers.
I don't know shit about this game outside from the very first trailer.
So you haven't kind of messed with that's one of the things I think people have said, that the story is great, the action is great, but the open worldness of it is maybe a little lacking. So you don't get a sense from that, though. As far as you can tell, it's this is a bunch of cool stuff that I can do, a lot of different activities.
I don't know what the other people are kind of meaning by that, but I do feel, it is a bigger world, right? That is sort of kind of the thing. Yeah. It is a bigger world. It does feel different maneuvering through it, for sure, in both good and bad ways. In the first two, there were many more situations where I felt like I could do no wrong, even if I ran into a wall or did something, it would still kind of fix itself and be oh, we're gonna just make you do this instead. Yeah. Whereas in this one, there's a lot more situations where, because I think they added more traversal options, that there's something where I didn't quite want to do that, and I'm kind of
and you're stuck. It doesn't fix it for you, I guess. Is that?
Yeah.
Okay, got you.
But aside from that, I have no problems with this game whatsoever, honestly.
Okay, nice. I'm looking forward. I'm gonna talk about it a little bit in a little while, but there's this game Signalis that I'm playing. But once I'm done with it today, I think, because it leaves Game Pass. By the way, if you want me to play one of your games, tell me it's leaving Game Pass, and I'm gonna give it a shot. And I think I'm doing Spider-Man 2. I think that I gotta look at my backlog. I have a little list. I think Spider-Man 2 is the one, so I think we're gonna have more conversations on it for sure. Anything else on that, Luis? Any other thoughts on it?
Yeah, just gonna keep going through, taking my time. What's up, Dave?
Okay, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, did you play the other two Spider-Man games all the way through?
Yeah. I think I might have platinumed both of them.
Ooh, nice. Okay. Usually he went out of your way. He said, "Let me see the Wakanda Forever poster."
The only one I didn't platinum was this one. It's one trophy. I didn't get one trophy. It's get a 100x combo. I never got it.
Oh, so that you have to work at that one. It was on one or Miles. I remember getting that combo in one of them. You have to.
It was on one of the two.
You have to swing around all the little pipe stuff and make sure you gather all the enemies. It's a tricky one. That one you don't get naturally. You don't get holistically. Is that the word? You don't get it naturally. All right, you don't get it organically. That's the word. You don't get it organically. But
I did.
Yeah, but I'm super hyped. That's kind of the thing, and we've talked about it before. But the trophies, Dalan will get some of these trophies, and I look at him. I don't compare I got more than him or anything like that. I'm like, he got that one. He got that organically because I worked at it. I was like, what is the trick? What is it? Where do I have to stand and jump and attack to get that trophy or whatever? But anything else on that, Lisa? And we'll get into what me and Dalan have been playing.
I'm all good on that.
Dalan, me and you have been playing Super Mario Brothers Wonder, man. It's
you and your 45 minutes.
I do about it. I only play on my breaks and lunch at work. All right, so it's got to be maybe an hour in a day, I guess that I play. While I'm at work.
I just gotta say this because I honestly did not play a lot of this game. I got through like a couple of stages, but my wife and my roommate was actually watching me play this, and he looked up. He said, "What fucking fever dream of Mario is this? This guy turned into an elephant. What is happening on this screen?" And then I hit like a blue flower, and the whole screen went very hippie on everybody, and people were just tripping out. We were like, no.
It's definitely they're definitely pushing it, right? It's not really blatant. I think they're having wholesome fun, Dalan. But you are like, I think they're honestly this is people that are family-friendly games. I don't think they're even thinking about it. But it seems like you're dropping like LSD or something like that when you grab that special flower and everything starts jumping around and talking and dancing around. The plants,
the flowers
especially,
are literally singing.
They are speaking to you. And I don't know if you've got into one of the levels. I might have mentioned it last week, but one of the levels are even like, that wasn't something I expected to happen. I'm like, okay, flower. So it's definitely like a fever dream, the game, right? But I am starting to, I think I'm getting close to like, I love this game, but not quite there. I think I'm like maybe 2 hours into it, and I'm getting like, I like it. It's a Mario game. It's a high quality game, but I feel like I'm kind of at the precipice of like, I'm starting to understand why people really love this game, but I'm not quite there. What about you, Dalan? Have you reached that point, or how are you feeling about the game quality wise, I guess? Besides the fever dream of it.
Besides the fever dream of it, actually feels really smooth for a Mario game, especially a side scroller. Especially after Mario Maker 2 had come out. Since then, we hadn't really had a high quality Mario game like that. So it's nice to actually have the feel of being able to play like natural Mario, and
a lot of new animations.
Collision cluster,
and a lot of new animations too, right? Like the running is different, the way he jumps, even when he goes through the tubes, where like, he forgets his hat, and you see him grab his hat and pull it through the tube, and then when he's on the other side of the tube, he like looks around, right, like and gets out of it. So it's a bunch of
so there's a bunch of nice little things that they actually put into this game, and very much so. This game has a story. It has a story.
Here we go with the story, Dalan.
No. Hey, when you play all the other Mario games, it doesn't really have a story. You're in the stage and you're going. That's it. This one had a whole opening and setup. Just to be able to get going.
and you know what's cool about it? I think in a lot of, I think Mario games have been kind of challenging all throughout, but I think for the most part, they've been kind of easy games, medium difficulty, but this one's kind of cool that it's like, oh no, we're rating every level and this is gonna test your ass, so like be ready for it, right? Did you kind of notice that?
I think they're trying to put this game on the same level as Super Mario World. I think they tried to go for that Super Mario World vibe where they created something entirely new, put a bunch of new powers in it that wasn't in Mario before. Yes, the fever dream part of it is way too wild to be keeping in every one of these games. But for a game in itself, if they do not make another Mario Wonder or try and use these worldly things again, I think this is an excellent installment.
And it's a good comparison, especially because you're not on the internet. Well, no. What is it? You're on the internet. You don't use the internet. One of those things. You use the internet. You're not on the internet. That's actually one of the comparisons people have made to Super Mario World. It's like, this is Super Mario World in 2023, right? The new Super Mario World. But they do a lot of cool stuff, new enemies, especially the badge system is something that's like, we're giving you new abilities. Do you want to float down with your big old hat? Or do you want to like forward jump? Because you can kind of kick flip off of it. And I saw earlier, no spoilers hopefully, but you can be Bionic Commando Mario as well. Did you ever play Bionic Commando?
I didn't get that far. I barely got my floating hat, man.
Well, no, Bionic Commando the game though. Have you played that? Where you have a hook and you're kind of jumping around the levels with the hook level. So
I know
that's even a power up in the game. So it's a bunch of all these things, and as you can tell with all the little hollowed out or grayed out spot, there's like 30, 40 of them. I don't know. There's a lot of different badges that you can pick and choose.
the last thing I'll say about this is I could see how fun this game could be as a one-player game, but I could definitely understand why your family quit on you when you were doing multiplayer.
Now, are you gonna? Did you try multiplayer, or are you going to?
No, I have not tried multiplayer. I think unless Nicole or Ricky decides that they want to play with me, I think it's gonna be a solo.
I feel try it. I feel just so you could give us the feedback of how, and they're a little more gamery, I think, than my family. Well, my daughter plays games, but they're a little more gamery, I think.
So I'll have a little extra time during this week, so I'll try and throw one of them on.
There you go. So the other thing I've played, I managed to platinum Assassin's Creed Mirage, and like I've mentioned before, when I do these trophies, I kind of like going to different areas of the map. That why would I ever go there? But the fact that these trophies are like not super difficult, it's a pretty easy platinum, I would say, all things considered. And the fact that it's like, oh, I would have never gone into this world. I would have never gone into this part. But the weirdest thing is it became educational to me at some point. At some point, they're like, pick up all these little notes. It's like, well, in this time of Baghdad, this happens. Like, well, I want to know that. Okay, it's called the Temple of the Ass. Why? And,
welcome to the world of Assassin's Creed. They've been doing that since part 2.
But I don't think it hasn't been since part 2. I think it's been in the last like 5-6 years.
Sure, it has been since part 2.
You think so? You agree, Luis?
There's no I think so.
No.
It is the case.
No. That well, how about this? Let's put it on wax. Let's get this little debate going on wax. Now, going back to the original, they've been historical games, and like of course they put all this thought into it, but presented in this way that it is where you're picking up nodes and it's giving you information. It's been like that since 2?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it has. There have been points where you're going to landmarks in like France and Venice, and they'll have a whole page of what it was like during that time period and how it was built, who built it. They actually have.
Now, all that is fine, is good. Luis, do you second this? Do you second this, Luis, what Dalan is saying?
I like Dalan said, from 2, not the original, not Assassin's Creed. That one was set in a time period and everything, but 2, it was. I mean, maybe the difference with Mirage is that it's more for you accessible, like in front of your face, like here's the thing, whereas the other ones you kind of had to like go into the codex or the index and like look at things if you wanted to know about it.
Because from what I on the interwebs, I remember them making a big deal out of it, like going a few entries ago, like Odyssey or something. People were like, they should just make a museum, because they even had like a museum mode or something like that, where you're not battling anything, you're like, I don't know, walking through a museum or something like that. But whatever it is, it kind of makes me go back to Assassin's Creed game. By the way, this game, I was about to rage quit and like throw it in the trash, throw it into GameFly. And I was like, you know what? Let me look up a video. What are these trophies about? That convinced me to keep going through the game and eventually platinum it. So, but it's cool. If you guys like that kind of stuff, 2-1, I'll take your guys' word for it. It's been historically educational since 2. So if you guys didn't know that, I'm sure people know that who's listening, but if you didn't, there you go. It's a great game to play that way. The other game, by the way, Signalis. The reason I'm trying it, well, is because like I mentioned, it's leaving Game Pass tomorrow or today. But the other thing, I think Deo had been mentioned it, and he was like, "Oh, this is a great game." And I tried it. It's sort of like going back to Resident Evil-ish type of gameplay stuff, and I was ready to quit, man. I was ready to quit like first like 30 minutes in. I was like, this game is dumb. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't know where I'm supposed to be going. And I think part of it is the time crunch, that I'm like, I don't even want to spend the time to care. So what I'm doing right now is I'm following a guide, man. I'm following a guide, and like, just tell me how to dodge the animals or the kind of all the crazy stuff on here. But it's also very obtuse. I don't think it really does signposting very well. It doesn't really tell you like where to go. And I'm like, I don't want to spend the time to play this pixelated with the cute art style indie game. But it's interesting. I'm following the guide, and I think I'll beat it today, like, just to get it out of there. But have you guys tried it, by the way? Luis, did you try it?
No.
Dalan? Okay. It's a rough one, man. It's a rough one to play. Look up some videos or some reviews or something and see if you're convinced. I'm going to play through it. It's kind of cool. It looks cool. Just the gameplay of it is a little rough. Dalan, what have you been playing? Let's send it on you, man. Not sub 60, but 60-ish, man. We're there. We're doing good, I think.
I'll try to make this quick.
I'm not trying to rush you, I guess, by the way. Well, maybe a little.
Too late.
I don't know.
Maybe a little. I don't know.
Maybe a little. I'm not sure. But go ahead.
All right, but outside of Mario Wonder, I was playing some more Gotham Knights because I like my Batman games. Honestly, this one is fun enough. I personally don't see what everybody's problem with was with the game. I will say this is
that they paid for it, Dalan. Remember,
they paid for
we got it for quote unquote free, right? But go ahead. I'm sorry. Don't step on.
All right. It turns out that the main story for this game is pretty short. I accidentally beat the game.
Come on, Dalan. See, okay, Dalan. But okay, so we're gonna play on PlayStation now. We're gonna play on PlayStation now, right? That's what we're doing. So
I won't have my characters.
You already beat the game. What do you need it for? What do you need it for?
I'd love to beat the game as a 2-player thing and use somebody else to beat the game, because this is one of those games where you might as well just pick one character and just beat the game with that character.
By the way,
you'll be fine.
By the way, I accidentally beat the game. Get the fuck out of here. All right, Dalan, but continue, please. But continue.
All right,
sir.
So I realized I got to the end of the game, and I was just like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna do it. But I also did like all the side cases, all the major ones with the major villains of the Batman stories, and it was actually really fun for the time that the game had. My only problem with the game is that it was short. It felt like
I like that. I like hearing that kind of thing. That it's short, especially for free.
Carlos, even with me saying that this game was short, I did all the other stuff, and the game still felt short to me.
Okay. Now, but I don't think that was a complaint from people. I think it was more.
I don't know what their complaint was at this point, outside of the fact that they paid real cash money for it. Maybe it was buggy when it first came out, and people were falling through the floor like I did one time. But other than that, the only real problems that I had with the game is that it kind of feels like the crime is far away. You don't really get to
the world isn't very impressive, right? Like
it's the bikes, man.
There you go.
You get the bikes, but they feel useless the entire time, with the exception of these little mini games that they make you do with
you honestly don't even feel like you honestly don't even, if it wasn't for the map or like the different little buildings, you honestly don't feel like you're going anywhere in that bike. You're just like really stuck. Slow. You're just like stuck and like, well, that building passed me by. But if you had to have paid $60 or $70, Dalan, would you have?
If I had to pay $60 for this game, I would be upset. If $40, I could understand that. Okay. $60, there is not enough content to justify that. Okay. And they're trying to make the extra thing that I said that they were dropping on the game, which they dropped. It was like raid mode. You can do a 4-player co-op now. In that one raid mode, it's just a couple of big missions. I'm like, I still don't feel like that was worth it. I want to do raid mode, but you have to have 4 dedicated people to want to actually do a raid mode.
You need to be like leveled and stuff for it, or
yes, you definitely need to be leveled for it. You can't get legendary gear unless you do
and
the
it's
raids.
Free.
So,
it's free.
Yes, that is free.
Okay. All right. But thank you, Dalan. You basically cheated on me, man. Like you said, I beat this game by mistake. By mistake. That's rude, man. But I will say this though, we haven't really like kind of teamed up to play the game, but whatever. That's cool. What else?
I tried to get you on multiple times. All right. So
what else you played, sir?
The other game I had been playing because I was trying to get through it is Sea of Stars. This is actually one of the shorter RPGs that I've played, and it's not too difficult. They didn't actually bump up the difficulty level to stupid. You could actually Carlos, this is a very critical pathy RPG for you. I can tell you that right now.
I need to get to it. I need to get to it.
You don't have to do the side quests. You can critical path the heck out of this game and not worry about it whatsoever.
I'm liking it. I'm liking it. So how far into it are you, Dan? What do we talk about?
I am actually at the very end of the game. I just need to beat the final boss because I went and did all the other side stuff. Okay. And some of that side stuff can be interesting. Fighting some of those other bosses can be very interesting. Really, all the main bosses walk in the park for me. When I went to go do some of the side bosses, there was like 2 side bosses that gave me a little bit of trouble, and then I was fine the rest of the time.
So I'm looking forward to it, man. It's on my list. Sea of Stars, little Gotham Knights action, Super Mario Wonder. Hope you guys were entertained on this podcast. We kept mentioning sub 60, meaning we were gonna keep it under 60. We went a little bit over, but I hope you guys had fun. Click the link, subscribe, all that fun stuff, right? I had fun, I think. Carlos Macias, the master of what again, Dalan?
Matthew, the tribute ball number 8.
Oh, that's true, man. We don't even know the number.
Don't be sad.
Because we lose it or people take it, and that's why we have to have so many tribute balls. Dalan Quick from up in the mountains. Have a happy Halloween, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, what I want to do at some point in the very near future is I want to create a shirt for us. I will sell it to people if you guys want it. Okay. Is I wanted to say we don't edit shit.
Okay, that's another one. Trust me, we've been talking about. I think we could have
there's a list there.
I think we have a nice little list going, right, of little shirt things we say on the podcast. You know, that we'll get around to it. I think that'd be kind of a fun thing to do. Luis Mendez, you also happy Halloween, sir. Do you go out, Luis? You gonna Halloween it up or no? What do you?
I went out this weekend. So because I'm an adult and I don't want to go out on a Tuesday night.
That's fair.
I'm an adult and I do adult things.
That's fair. That's fair. That's very fair. All right, thank you for joining us, sir. We'll see you guys next week. All right, be safe out there. Check the candy.